I saw him on the first day of my summer job. It was hard not to. He was in his late 40s, overweight, and wore suspenders over a plaid shirt. He mopped his brow with a handkerchief frequently and didn't talk. I was 16 at the time and working at the local newspaper down in the depths of the building, down in the basement. I was a gopher, running miscellaneous errands for the employees. I made coffee and went on trips to get supplies. Anything that was needed. His name was Jim. He was in charge of inspecting the printing press that would run at midnight to produce the next day's paper. He hung out in the factory for most of the day, reading the same dog-eared copy of a book every shift. I wondered if he was a slow reader, or if he just really liked the hell of that book a lot. Just weird. Now one day, a co-worker caught me stealing glances at the man's false hand. It was black. Its glossy finish glinted in the light. It was as if whoever made it for him didn't care if it stood out so much. "You'd better stay away from him," the co-worker said. "I wasn't staring," I replied in shock. "Oh, stare all you want," he continued. "He freaks me out. I worked here for about 20 years, and he's never even said one damn word to anyone. Boss's son, though. Can't do jack shit." He pulled out a cigarette as if only talking about the man made him nervous. He lit it and he took a deep drag, audibly exhaling. "Oh, well, he seems okay to me, sir," I replied. "Now don't you let that hand of his fool you. He's not all there in the head. You see that scar?" The man pointed at Jim, unabashed. "He got that when his head got caught in the press." "Really?" I said, slightly taken aback. The man laughed before giving way to a phlegmy cough. He composed himself and he rustled my hair. "Go get me a soda," he demanded, giving me some small change for the vending machine. I crossed the factory floor and I headed in the direction of Jim. I was anxious. I hadn't thought about him in a negative way until I spoke to the man. The printing press was to my left and I walked as close as I could, having to round it right in front of Jim. I was a few feet away when he lost concentration in his book. His sweaty scalp glistened in the bright light, pronouncing the long pink scar that ran down the length of his skull. He stared directly into my eyes, and then he smiled. I jumped in panic and heard a heavy belly laugh from behind me. Jim's mouth dropped. Heard I was scared of him, and that's when I realized I was being played. I felt humiliated and embarrassed. I'm sorry," I said softly as I ran out of the factory and into the canteen. I thought about that moment every day for the next couple of weeks, trying to get up the courage to speak to him. I watched him as he went through his checklist, inspecting the machines. He was methodical. He held the clipboard between his prosthetic hand and elbow while pressing different buttons and glancing at different details about the dials. It was obvious he wasn't stupid, though I wondered what effect the injury had. Minutes before leaving, after he'd finished and sat down with his book, I walked up to him. As soon as I did, I realized I really didn't know what to say. He put down his book and he glanced up at me. That smile from before was back. It wasn't sinister, it was warm. I panicked and I fumbled for words. "I really like your hand," I said, immediately feeling stupid. He gazed slowly at me, and then his gaze drifted to the hand. And he lifted his arm. He turned it from side to side, and I watched in awe. "Thank you." "Me too," he replied in a soft southern accent. He picked up his book and resumed reading. Now, by the time I left, so had all the other employees, leaving only Jim until the midnight shift arrived for the printing. When I arrived at the bus stop, I realized that I was late, and I'd have to wait 2 whole hours for the next one. Annoyed, I walked back to the factory to phone my parents. The place was so quiet now that everyone was gone. My shoes, they echoed around the building. It was dark, except for a few sporadic sidelights that illuminated the exits. In the gloom, the place felt foreboding and uncanny. I wandered alongside the backup printing press, turning the corner to see Jim's chair was empty. I suddenly felt all alone. The lights on the active printing press lit the way to the canteen where the payphone was. I recoiled as the machinery came to life, seeing Jim at the far end of the contraption. He waved his false hand at me, and I could make out a smile on his darkened face. I let out a sigh of relief. I waved back, grinning, happy to know that I just wasn't here alone. His face contorted, and he ran towards me. I felt adrenaline surge through my system, and I turned to run. My coworker was right. He was crazy. I pushed off and didn't move, instead swinging to the floor. Garroted by my own shirt, I heard Jim's shoes thump against the floor as he barreled down on me. I choked, feeling myself lift as my shirt became more entangled with the machine. Stars fluttered in my vision as the makeshift noose tried its best to strangle. I saw Jim's legs stop in front of me and I passed out. I woke in an unfamiliar bed. My head hurt. Background, I could hear what sounded like rats and dogs squabbling. I pushed myself up to see Jim stand next to the sink. What happened? I asked. The animal sounds quieted, and Jim finished cleaning up. When he turned around, I noticed that his prosthetic hand was missing. Embarrassed, I looked away. "Oh, it's okay," he said softly. Returning my gaze, I saw the soaked end of his shirt hang limply at his wrist. "That was close," he said, sitting down. The crippled remains of his hand lay splintered and broken on the table in front of him. "Was that my fault?" I asked. "I can make more," he said, opening a drawer. He picked out an unpainted hand and placed it on his arm. I pushed myself to my feet and I gingerly approached, sitting opposite him. I studied the hand that sat between the two of us. "You make these yourself?" I asked. He nodded. "Why?" "I like working with my hands," he replied with a smirk. I looked around the room to see a bookshelf in the corner and a sink and a mattress that I'd been laying on. "Do you live here?" "Yeah," he said. "Isn't your dad like the owner of this place? Why don't you just go live with him?" He gazed into the distance. "I like my own space," he said. But I knew that wasn't it. Just like my coworker, I bet his parents were embarrassed by him. I felt sad. "Thank you for helping me. I don't know what would have happened if you weren't there." He hung his head. "My fault. I should have been paying more attention." "No, no," I said, feeling he was genuinely disturbed by what happened. "I'm an idiot. I got too close." There was an awkward silence. "So what do you do for food? I mean, I don't see any stove around here." "I don't eat much. I'm kind of picky," he said, not wanting to be drawn into a conversation. I stared at his large belly and I thought, well, I guess you can't be that picky. I mean, you don't get a belly like that, being picky. Do you eat in the canteen? I've not seen you in there before." I eat out mostly," he said. I understood why his coworkers didn't warm up to him. I mean, he wasn't one for talking very much. Jeez, I said, panicked. What time is it? I don't know. I need to get to the bus. My parents will be worried. I got up, feeling my head thump, and I winced, worried that I would faint at any moment. I stumbled to the door, and I felt Jim's immense strength as he caught me, his false hand coming to rest under my shoulder. Walk with me. So I did. When we left the building, it was dark, and the cold night perked me up momentarily. Arm in arm, we made our way to the bus stop. In the distance, we heard shouting, and gradually a group of 6 teenagers came into view. They pushed each other as they ambled forward. "It's that freak!" one of them shouted. "Yeah, let's screw him up," said another. "Oi, Lenny, come on! Lenny, gonna kill some mice now?" "Don't listen to them," I said, seeing a tear roll down Jim's face. They swayed, obviously drunk, making a beeline for us. Jim stopped, letting go of me, and then pushed me to the side. I almost tripped, but came to rest against the side of the building. The large kid, the largest of them all, separated from the group and stood face to face with Jim. "You're that retard, aren't you?" the kid said. He pointed his finger to the scar on Jim's head and poked him. "You see that?" he said, turning his face to his friends. "Retard got his head crushed. Probably can't even wipe his own ass anymore." He stared Jim up and down and swiftly started punching him in the gut. My stomach lurched as Jim fell. He then administered 2 swift kicks to the head and laughed. Moments later, the other teenagers joined in, cackling like drones. Blood dripped from Jim's mouth, and all I could do was glare in horror. "Close your eyes," Jim mouthed to me as he received another kick, and it landed in his stomach. "Close your eyes." As I did, I held them tightly shut, just as I had done hundreds of times before as a child, the bed sheets pulled up over my head. I heard chittering sounds like that of rats, growls and barks like that of dogs, slithering sounds like that of snakes, and horrified screams of petrified teenagers. "No! No! No!" we shouted into the night sky as I scrunched my eyes shut tighter and tighter. "Oh my God, what the hell is that thing?" another screamed. The sounds of crunching bones chilled me. The sound of sloppy, wet munches made me shiver. Then there was a beautiful silence. I waited for what seemed like minutes to open my eyes, and When I did, I saw Jim stand alone in the road. He leaned over purposefully and picked up his prosthetic hand and wiggled it back into place. A man opened the door to the building across the street and gazed in both directions before settling his eyes on us. "Did you hear something?" he asked. "No," I replied. The man re-entered the building. Jim shuffled over to me and picked me up. We walked the final 50 yards or so to the shelter as the bus arrived. "Is this yours?" he asked. I nodded, scared and relieved. "See you tomorrow?" I nodded again and boarded the bus. Jim waved as the vehicle pulled away. I waved back. Jim smiled, and so did I. I'm not afraid of the man with one hand, but maybe you should be.